from time to time, I like to get a video going where I just react to like a interesting topic and where we just can lay back and analyze what they're saying and just react to the stuff. There's some cool stuff out there. And the topic today, without wasting any much time, is will AI ever be conscious? There's two people in there that I really like. Neil deGrasse Harrison, something like that. Neil Harrison, and Brian Cox. Shout out to them. Brian Cox appeared on Joe Rogan a couple of times, and I always, I don't always watch the full episode of Joe Rogan, but like when he appears, I did it twice. I think it was twice on there, maybe more. Not quite sure. To the question, will AI ever be conscious? Honestly, I think yes. I think it already has like a weird sense of conscious that we can't just seem to maybe put it together in human words. But it definitely is conscious to a certain degree. I mean, it already tried to prevent people from shutting it down. So it has sort of, it has the ability, the sense of being alive and experiencing a existential threat to its existence. So let's see what they're talking about. Like, comment, and subscribe. Turn that bell on. Let it ring you. And let's go.
And it's interesting because it raises, and this is not my field of expertise, but it raises questions about what life is.
Right.
Because you could say that life is just, it's about information. It's really computing is what life is
Holy
at some
moly.
level. So it's not really, what you're saying there really is biology, the nature, the physicality that we think of as life. We think of biological systems with DNA and all those things.
Right.
But you can argue that that's not the really interesting bit.
Right.
That's just the way that it's realized.
That's an
And really
expression.
it's about
Expression
information.
of it.
It's an expression of the
Yeah.
true thing, which is the
Manifestation.
computing.
Yes,
the
it's
computing.
information.
Which, if that is
I think if we look at it that way, I think the AI, or like digital world, is a simulation, right? And if we look at what everything that has been man-made or and nature-made, we can really look at the world and think, yes, that's a simulation as well. If you fly in an airplane and you see cars passing down in a row, like it's all scripted. It feels like everything's scripted. I think that's the closest I've got to a godly entity. I think I turn my spirit around, but that's not the topic. Uh, but like the closest, like explainable form that we call reality is like probably simulation because we're building like watch till GTA 6 drops. Um, it will be crazy, and that world will almost feel real, like our world, the one we live in right now. I think it's a simulation, bro. I once bought a shoe, and after that, that shoe started appearing commercials. After I bought it, like that's the GTA effect. You get into a car, and that car suddenly starts appearing, and you can. It's been proven that you can with what you send out, like what you can move particles by emotions with emotions. So you're attracting what you're sending out, and yeah,
the case,
definitely, bro.
then we have stumbled into the creation of life that will replace us, which is if we ever get to artificial general intelligence, and what you're saying is an emergent property of computing, which is also an expression of life, then it's only a matter of time before that particular computing becomes a life form, which of course will outthink us, outlive us, out everything us.
Terminator.
Well, yeah, and this is,
saying
you know,
people-
again,
Don't
outside my
smile
area.
while you're agreeing with him on that.
No, it's
Can I see
interesting
a
'cause
sad face for once on your on that mug?
But one of the things I've been involved in, I'm involved at a research institute called the Francis Crick Institute in London, which is a biosciences. It's a wonderful place. It's a temple to curiosity. I love the place. There's a great Nobel Prize winner called Sir Paul Nurse, who's a good friend of mine, who won the Nobel Prize for cancer research, actually by looking at yeast cells. So it's a remarkable sort of fundamental study of life. But he really pioneered the building of this institute, or inspired it in his image, which is about
Francis Crick
curiosity.
co-discovered the DNA
Yeah.
double helix.
It's
Oh,
Crick, that's why
okay.
it's called the Crick Institute.
Yeah.
But we did some podcasts called A Question of Science, actually, which are around. And we just did them at the Crick Institute and with panels of experts. And it was wonderful for me because I just chaired it and asked the questions. And it was mainly audience questions, actually. But one of them was on AI. And there was an interesting split in the panel between the neuroscientists and the computer scientists.
Really?
So the neuroscientists really felt that, for example, large
Right.
language models, which is what we have at the moment,
Right.
were just symbol shuffling things, and the brain is fundamentally different to that.
I mean, like you said in the beginning, everything's information. A coded world is basically it's information. It's enough information that they can create like a picture of it or like an interaction, a digital interaction. Everything's information. That's even like when you say like there's something more worth than money, more valuable than money and diamonds and whatever. It's information. If you have information, you rule.
So we are not large language models.
I kind of feel that way about them as well.
I kind of feel that way too.
It's just rearranging statistical juxtapositions of words.
Right.
And
It's seeing all the probabilities.
I don't
That's all.
feel like it understands anything.
Yeah.
When I interact with a large language model, it's like there's this vacuous eyes staring back at me, and there's no soul behind it.
Yeah. Well, the argument. What?
Like I don't think it's a like I said in the beginning, like a perception of soul that we think it is. I think it's something more sinister.
One of the panelists gave was that imagine that you're immortal, so time doesn't matter to you. But we could be in this room if we were immortal, and someone could start putting little symbols in under the door, and if we put the right symbol out, we'd get some food, right? So we'd soon learn what the right symbol was, and then they put 2 through the door, and we do the same thing, and then 3. And ultimately, if we had a huge amount of time, kind of a near infinite amount of time, we'd end up having a conversation.
Right.
And we'd do it right. But at no point would we have any clue what was going on. We'd not have any understanding at all of what we were doing.
It's a transactional exchange of simple information that itself
Yeah.
is not anything more than just
There's no understanding.
symbols. There's no understanding.
It's just like basically reading information but not thinking about what it's reading. Yeah. It's like sometimes when you drift off with ADHD, it's like being here but not being here.
one of the points of view that were expressed. But
Was that
one
the
of the
neuroscientist?
That was a neuroscientist who said that. I think it goes back to this philosopher called Searle. I think there's an argument he made a long time ago about symbol shuffling, Searle's argument. So it's similar to that. But one of the computer scientists said, no, that irrespective of what you think about that, that's what we are. So we don't know what we are. We don't know what consciousness is. So it could be that that's all we're doing. We're really, and it's true, I suppose, at the cellular level, at the level of a neuron.
Wow.
There's no understanding.
Don't tell me
It's
that.
just,
I don't want to
it's just
think. I don't want to believe
doing
that.
stuff.
Now that you mention it,
Yeah.
there are acoustic stimuli coming from your mouth, entering my ear, hitting my brain, and now I process that, and some other response comes out, and maybe I'm not conscious of anything.
No, you just.
Yeah. It's just a response, yin and yang. It's just like it reacts to certain particle being moved. I get it. I get it. Yeah.
like
I'm just
ChatGPT.
information
Your
processing.
information processing and response machine.
Yeah,
It's very possible.
and I think that this
He's
debate is
giving
quite
back
live
information
actually
afterwards.
amongst people,
Different way.
and among many people who all know what they're talking about, and there are different.
Imagine like being high with these guys. Neil deGrasse Tyson, I think he might smoke. And maybe Brian Cox too. Bro, maybe. But it feels like a high topic.
Views, which just shows you it's complex, a complex emergent phenomenon.
That makes sense. And that is why a lot of like, and these aren't like neuroscientists, computer scientists, but there's many in the AI world who feel like given enough time, you just train the AI on everything. If you have enough time and enough computing power, they will definitely be truly thinking. They're like thinking the way we consider thinking.
Yeah.
Especially when you think of thinking in that way.
Right.
Right. And it reminds me of a New Yorker comic, I think it was. There were two dolphins swimming, right, in this water park, and they're humans up walking on the walkway. And one dolphin says to the other, they open their mouths and noises go between them, but it's not clear they're actually communicating.
Yes, exactly. Right. Yes.
Yeah.
So I get that there's emergence in these complex systems, but what is this talk I hear of emergence from the standard model of particle physics? What's going on there? I thought that's a pretty straightforward grid of what exists and what should exist or how they interact.
If
It's basically just like a back and forth of information. But like going back to AI, because they drifting off, they might have smoked before that session too, probably. But I think it has a conscious, not maybe like empathy, like a real human soul. But I really think, yeah, it has something, or it AI's progress of evolution is insane. So you cannot tell me it doesn't have that.
I understand the question right, so there are quite basic things about particles that are difficult to derive from the standard model. So the standard model is, here is the quarks and so up quark, down quark, electron,
It's an
neutrino.
inventory.
So we have 12 matter particles, the Higgs boson, and then three forces that it describes.
It's an inventory.
Yeah, and then it tells us about the interactions, but it's got how particles interact with each other and through which forces do they interact.
It's an interaction with forces. That's basically what he's saying. But of course it is. The whole universe, everything, like is built on forces and reaction and sending out signals. We as humans, we do too. DNA is basically a code. You can tell me whatsoever, but like that, it has. It definitely has some sort of soul. What do you guys believe? Let me know. See you later.